Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District, a sportscast here on YouTube, bringing you all the good DC sports and sometimes just some good little content like today, which we're going to be talking about a start bench cut, which will be a new kind of series or video series, that we'll be bringing to you here on our channel. I'm Nathan Perry. That's Trevor, and that's Stoner. And on our first one, we shared with you. It was an interesting one here for wide receivers with a little bit of a flair and somebody who we trust, and Terry McLaurin. So it's a start bench cut on a wide receiver one, Stefon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, and DK Metcalf. And you've had the opportunity to let us know based on our community post, on our Twitter post, IG, and Facebook. This is going out. This is everywhere. But you can let us know here in the comment section. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. And let's get into the discussion here. And Trev, we're going to go with your person to start out of these three.
I'm starting Terry McLaurin. Not by default, just because I watch his games every year. And the guy has grit. He's played with Tom, Dick, and Harry as quarterbacks and never once showed any different behavior towards any of the quarterbacks. He was always himself, no matter what. There were a couple times where you saw him shake his head, underthrowing balls and stuff, but he wasn't a diva about it. He came to work every day with his lunch pail and his hard hat.
Two-year captain.
No matter who was throwing the ball. So I'm definitely starting Terry McLaurin. And I mean, that's just, and the stats speak for itself. So,
interesting. All right. Stoner, are you starting Terry McLaurin as well? Scary Terry, number one on your list out of these three?
I love Terry McLaurin. I love me some Terry McLaurin. I am not starting Terry McLaurin. Out of these three, if these are my choices, well, you know what? Actually, let me ask you this before I tell you. I got to ask you a question. We have to qualify this, right? Does this mean? Are we looking at the players in their career accomplishments up to this point, or are we looking at them at their
this season?
Peak?
This season, the week one.
This is who they are as a player. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I just
who do you want to start?
We don't care what his favorite movie is. We just want to know.
Do we care who his quarterback is?
Can he date my daughter? It's for Washington. Well, let's say it's our team. It's Washington, right? So it's the Commanders. Who do you want? Okay. If they had all three of these on the team, who do you start bench cut? I know Stoner every time. Hey, every time.
It could be different answer based on this. All right. So out of these three, I love Terry McLaurin. I'm not starting him. I'm starting DK Metcalf.
Okay, you're insane. I'm just gonna stop you right there.
DK Metcalf.
No, don't stop. I want to hear this jive. Go ahead.
Why are you guys so against DK Metcalf?
I'll tell you why.
He's the same speed as Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
He's 3 or 4 inches taller than Terry McLaurin. He has essentially the same stats as Terry McLaurin, except one thing.
What's that?
Touchdowns.
Touchdowns. He's got Terry beat by a
lot.
There.
Touchdowns are the most important.
29 to 16 for the record.
Yeah, he's almost doubled him in touchdowns in the same amount of time.
I guess so. If you had the same quarterback throwing,
don't give me the quarterback crap. Don't give me the.
Don't give you the quarterback. You love Russell Wilson. You want to tell me that quarterback play doesn't play into this? This man had Terry McLaurin and Heineke throwing to him. Josh Johnson, Sanchez, Haskins. You're telling me that this doesn't play into the fact that this wide receiver isn't good? If you give Terry McLaurin Russell Wilson, you don't think that he puts up numbers like that? That DK Metcalf, they already are putting up numbers like that. Touchdowns are the only difference between the two that are significant. And you're trying to tell me that
can't do that.
Play. Washington has read one on that.
Hold on. Let's Stoner explain this bull jive real quick.
You can't do that. You can't say if. All you can do is look at what they have done and make your decision based on it. You can't say, well, if he had this or if he had that. Well, if the queen had balls, she'd be a king.
Yeah. Well, you need to get some DK's balls right now.
Let's go.
Okay. DK Metcalf is a more accomplished receiver
And
at this point.
At touchdowns only. You even admit it to yourself.
Right.
The only difference between is the touchdowns.
So that's why you would start him.
So I want double the touchdown output.
All right,
and I'm
fine.
not doing this to try and rile you up. I've obviously riled up Nathan pretty heavily. I truly believe that. I believe
get out of here.
He's the same thing as Terry, except he has double the amount of times in the end zone. Imagine if Terry had been in the end zone twice as many times, how many wins this team would have.
You just said they know ifs or imaginations.
Okay,
allowed.
right.
Yeah.
So let's go with what we're looking at.
Breaking his own rules already.
Okay.
Right, your
so
turn.
if you are going to come into my space and you're going to agree with that rule, then DK Metcalf is better than Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Insanity aside, I guess this is interesting because at least we're all starting a different wide receiver because I'm going with Stefon Diggs here.
And I don't hate that.
That he's clearly the like if you're Stoner and you're looking at stats, then Stefon Diggs is the top receiver out of the three of them.
Correct.
In his last 3 years, he has had the lowest amount of yards was 1130, right? And he peaked at 1535. Over the same time, 24 touchdowns. Again, DK Metcalf 29, difference between 29 and 24, not as great as 29 to 16.
Okay.
So, yeah, Stefon Diggs is the go-to. I can't believe he came out with DK Metcalf.
100%.
Just insane. Stefon Diggs, to me, is the clear choice to be the wide receiver one in this. I love Terry. I have 2 of his jerseys. He's the captain. He's great. I do think with better QB play, his numbers will get even better. But that's why he's my bench. I still want him on my team, but I'm gonna put Diggs over him. So Terry McLaurin's my man, and I'm having him on my bench, which of course means I'm cutting DK Metcalf, which might also explain why I'm a little bit upset here with Stoner. Trev, I'm not talking to that man right now. So who are you putting on your bench?
I'm benching Stefon Diggs. He's a diva, man. And he is. He doesn't get the ball. He cries about it, throws his helmet off on the side, makes a big deal about it, takes himself out of the game sometimes, takes himself out of the play. Not every time, but he's a bit of a diva. He's productive, but I'll bench him. Doesn't mean he's not going to play, but he needs to have a little attitude adjustment. So I'm going to bench his butt for a series or 2.
Back Pro Bowler, by the way.
That's fine. I don't care. Antonio Brown, same way. But
I'm just going to remove this man from this chat here because I know where he's going.
He's cutting Terry McLaurin.
Break all of our hearts. Who are you benching and who are you who are you cutting?
I'm cutting DK Metcalf.
I'm not even going to let him do it. I'm just not even going to let him do it.
No, I want him to do it.
We got to hear it. We got to hear it. But I just, man, Stoner, rest in peace. Your mentions, man. Let's.
Who you got? Got?
Let me ask you guys this. All right.
Okay.
I need a straight up answer.
All right.
Why are you choosing Terry McLaurin over DK Metcalf?
He's a better wide receiver.
Because attitude attitude and leadership goes a long way in an NFL locker room. Owners preach about it, coaches preach about it, other players preach about it. The top quality a football player must have, if you're a captain, is leadership. Stefon Diggs does not have that leadership.
I'm not talking about Stefon Diggs. I'm talking about DK.
DK Metcalf said it himself. Now that Russ is gone,
he can step up
and be a leader now that Russ is gone. Because in his past on the podcast, he was asked, he was like, "No, I haven't been a leader in my past, but now that Russell's gone, I've had talks to myself. This is my chance to be a leader." So obviously, he's not built for that yet. Terry McLaurin was drafted as a special teams player, converted to a wide receiver 1, named captain. Almost 1,000 yards in 4 years with 10 different quarterbacks, and he hasn't cried once, bro. Once.
That's all great info, right? That's some pretty good stuff. I like him as a person, or at least as a player on my team. But yeah, you do need that. Here's the thing, though. He's still a better wide receiver. The DK Metcalf is a physical specimen. is a physical specimen, and he uses that to his advantage. But if you're trying to tell me he's a better route runner, if you're telling me that he's better at catching, come on, look at that first game of the season against the Chargers. You telling me DK Metcalf makes that falling backwards catch through defenders? No, he does not.
Russell Wilson targeted DK Metcalf less than 5 times against us. 5 targets or less, bruh. DK Metcalf, fast as lightning, tall as a big and strong as a giant, and he gets 5 targets against the Washington Commanders.
How many did McLaurin get against Denver?
More than 5.
I bet you he
did.
He's
half the size.
Didn't he have like 4 games in a row where he was getting like 1 and 2 catches?
But DK Metcalf is an NFL top 100, and Terry isn't.
Yeah.
So DK should be getting more targets. He should be getting more targets.
Everybody in the NFL agrees with me. The only reason you two don't agree with me is because you're blind homers on this particular subject.
I am not, bro. I got Stefon Diggs on my team before. I'm not cutting him, and he's a diva too. DK Metcalf cannot run routes.
Oh my God, he can't run routes.
Bro, come on.
He's not as good of a route runner as Terry McLaurin. By the way, his season breakdown, for the record, he had 1 good season, 1303 yards there. The other 2, he didn't even crack 1,000.
Okay.
See, there we go. How is he a better receiver than Terry?
He's got 3,000. He's got 3,170 yards total.
How many?
McLaurin has 3,090.
Okay, that's 80 yards more
off of 1 good season.
1 good season? He had. Yes. You're kidding me. He's had 75 catches last year. He just barely missed 1,000. Terry barely went over 1,000.
So he missed 1,000.
But
Terry barely made it over.
But he missed 1,000.
Base it on now.
Look at the catch rate, 68%.
You guys are being. You guys are wearing your burgundy glasses on this.
Bro, you said stats were the same, and they're not the same right now.
Terry catches 62%.
Better in all of them.
No, he doesn't.
He's telling you otherwise right now.
What do you mean? What? Okay,
catch rate. Terry McLaurin's better at the catch rate, and that's one of those things I'm talking to you about. Is Terry McLaurin is somebody who a quarterback can trust to go up there and catch the ball.
Why you
2% better? 2% better.
You wanted to bring up 80 yards over the course of a 17-game season, and you're trying to tell me about 2%?
Russell Wilson chose to throw the Tyler Lockett and Swain more than DK Metcalf. Are you kidding me right now?
Listen, you guys talk about leadership.
Yards a target. Yards a target, okay? 8.1 to 7.5. Again, that's with Russell Wilson compared to Taylor Heineke, who we called out several times, was killing his receivers because he couldn't throw them open. You're telling me these stats don't matter? Get out of here, Stoner.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will happily admit there is these are probably Terry McLaurin and DK Metcalf are probably 14, 15 top on the top wide receiver list. My homerism might make Terry McLaurin up to 12, but he's still better than DK Metcalf.
He's not. He's not.
All right, so
sorry.
Why? Go ahead.
But anyway, you guys talked about leadership, and he's a captain, and that goes along. Well, that's done great for Washington, by the way. That leadership has really gone a long way for 14 wins over 2 years. But
how many wins does Seattle have in 2 years?
I don't know. A lot more than that. I can promise you.
They had 7 this year, so it wasn't that many more.
All right, what'd they have the year before? I don't know. Somebody look that up while I'm talking about
it. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
But the point being, you know what I'll take over that?
What?
Touchdowns. Trips to the end zone.
12 wins the year before.
12 wins the year before.
Great team sport.
Okay, so don't talk to me about leadership in the locker room then.
But it matters.
No, it doesn't. What matters is get your butt in the end zone. Catch touchdown passes. Twice as many as Terry. DK Metcalf is a more accomplished receiver than Terry McLaurin. And I love Terry McLaurin. So to answer your question that you asked like 25 minutes ago, I am benching Stefon Diggs. And I'm cutting Terry McLaurin.
We knew it. We knew that was happening. That's why I cut you off beforehand.
I'm sorry.
The
I'm
difference
sorry.
in offenses, by the way, it's not just when we're talking about so he scored more touchdowns. That's great. You want your position players to score touchdowns. I'm going to bring up the actual full offense,
Okay.
because Terry McLaurin maybe not have been in the place to score that kind of. I told you DK Metcalf had the one big season. Obviously, he did have 12 touchdowns last year. The year before, they scored. He scored 10 touchdowns. And that year, 2020, Seattle scored 459 points. Care to venture to see where Washington scored?
I don't care.
335.
Okay.
More than 100 points less. The offenses aren't
lot
comparable.
Of that has
You like to sit there and say that these are apples and oranges.
A lot of that has to do with DK Metcalf. He had 12 touchdowns that year. Don't tell me that Terry McLaurin is better than DK Metcalf.
The most important position in the NFL
is the
quarterback.
Yeah.
That's you. You say it
100%.
Day in and day out on this show.
Right.
The most important position is the quarterback. Tell me, in 2020, where there was more than 100-point difference, I'll bring up this 2021 season as well. Tell me that
is hot.
Russell Wilson isn't making a difference in those points. Don't tell me. I was about to make Mama Stores really upset with my mouth.
She would have loved that. She would have loved that.
You cannot tell me that it's DK Metcalf. You know darn well it's Russell Wilson who's the difference maker for that. Terry McLaurin has had you, me, and Trev out there throwing him passes, and is still putting up the same kind of numbers, minus the touchdowns. But Russell Wilson plays a big factor into that.
Where do you not see that logic right there?
I don't see it because you can't have a hypothetical as your argument. You can't say, well, if he had been in a better offense or if he'd been a better quarterback, he'd be better. You can't say hypothetical. We're looking at their stats and their production.
So why are you cutting Terry McLaurin then? Why?
Stefon Diggs has better stats than both of these two combined.
Yeah, and you benched him instead.
But he's smaller, and I like big receivers. So that's why I'm starting. I
like productive receivers.
He can come off the bench and do some great things. Terry can go do it for the Eagles or something because I cut his ass. But I like a big receiver. So I like DK Metcalf better than Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, way more accomplished.
He's a big receiver, but he's not. He's useless, bro. Russell Wilson barely threw to him last year. For a reason.
Stop saying that he barely threw to him.
75 receptions there.
How many games did you watch with DK Metcalf? One against
Washington. I watched more than that.
He was targeted 129 times.
129 times. Barely threw to him. How many was McLaurin targeted?
Terry McLaurin was targeted 130.
It's the same.
Four different quarterbacks.
Okay.
Terry does the same thing with less at the helm, bro.
And by the way, don't forget last year they had to deal with Geno Smith in Seattle for 4.5 games.
Oh my God, bro! And they still won this past season, or
they won past season? They won 7
with Russell Wilson out. They
cool.
had to start.
I'll pick Geno Smith over Taylor, Garrett, Kyle, Alex, Dick, and Harry, Nathan Stoner, and Trevor.
Yeah, that's an entirely different conversation. But
I'm just saying,
exact same with less at quarterback. That's what Nathan and I are trying to tell you.
Except for touchdowns.
I don't give a damn. We won the same amount of games with the difference in touchdowns. So therefore, it doesn't matter what DK Metcalf does in touchdowns. We won 7 games.
It does matter.
They won 7 games with DK scoring 29 touchdowns.
No,
right. I smell a dollar here. So I'm gonna.
He scored 10 this year. He scored 10 this past year.
Terry McLaurin scores more touchdowns this year than DK Metcalf.
I'm with you, Nathan.
No chance. DK Metcalf scores more.
With Geno Smith or Drew Lock as his quarterback?
Yes.
There we go. We got a dollar.
You have fun with that. Drew Lock
in the comment section right now.
KJ Hamler, Terry Judy, Noah Fant, Tim Patrick. He had all them dudes in Denver and got benched for Teddy Bridgewater and then traded to Seattle. And all of a sudden now they have DK Metcalf.
More catches.
Get the hell out.
More yards.
You're drunk.
More touchdowns.
Do we
Terry
put an
McLaurin.
injury clause on this?
You got to be kidding me, Stoner. Drew Lock is throwing him the ball.
Okay, we'll put an injury clause on this. If either player gets injured, we'll nullify the $. For those who might not be familiar with our $, it's not real money, but it's a prop bet. Let us know if you're on Stoner's side. Is DK Metcalf going to have more touchdowns than Terry McLaurin, or are you on the side of Trev?
Catches.
Well, we're just doing touchdowns this time, but
okay.
Trev and I are saying Terry McLaurin's going to have more touchdowns this year than DK Metcalf. Let us know who you got on the start bench cut as well. Stoner's crazy. You can let him know in the comments that he is absolutely crazy. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time.
Be smarter than Stoner.
Be a fan.